From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
All right, the weather and the political winds of change. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's Wednesday, November 5th.
Let's open up these windows and get this day started.
A first alert weather day as we track rain and wind sweeping through the Bay Area, the pain points and the power outages as you head out the door.
We stood tall and we stood firm in response to Donald Trump's recklessness.
It's a victory lap for Governor Gavin Newsom after California voters approved the redraw of congressional maps designed to give Democrats more seats in Congress. Does this tee up a presidential run for Newsom?
You have delivered a mandate for change.
The mayor-elect of New York says his win and wins for Democrats across the nation show a referendum on the Trump presidency. Election day taking the temperature of voters.
We get smiles instead of being shushed.
And no piping down, instead pipe up. The South Bay Library making noise with a new policy. No shushing. Why this library says silence is not always golden. Shh. Or speak up. It's your choice. We are speaking up. It's a first alert weather morning, and your community station has you covered. So look at this weather radar showing us what the next 24 hours is about to bring you at home. Expect strong wet rain, powerful wind. It's all going to be moving through your neighborhood.
Yeah, and much of the concern right now appears to be in the North Bay. Meteorologist Jessica Birch has been tracking this storm since before it even got here, and it looks like it's coming just like you thought.
Well, yeah, I mean, earlier this morning, or earlier this week, I really should say, things were nice and calm. Yesterday was the preparation day. Today is the day that we actually need to kind of hunker down and take things slow, especially out there on the roads, because as we head into the next 24 hours, we're going to notice some big changes. Starting off with this morning, winds are already whipping up to around 65 miles per hour. Let's zoom out real fast and let's take a quick look at what's happening for us. You take a look at that radar this morning, and I want to show you those rainfall totals. We're anywhere up to around a half an inch of rain in certain communities, but for the most part, we're seeing closer to around a tenth of an inch accumulate throughout the next 24 hours. That's including places like Livermore, stretched all the way up into Napa. There's about a quarter of an inch expected there. Now, a couple other things to talk about. A wind advisory is in effect right now, issued by the National Weather Service, and that's widespread throughout the Bay Area. As you take a look at wind speeds throughout the next 24 hours, we could see gusts anywhere up to around 60 miles per hour, but the sustained winds, which you see below me, are closer to 20 to 30 mile per hour winds pushing in from offshore from this exact same system. So we do have some major changes, but of course, the big one that we're keeping a close eye on, it's the rain, because it's impacting us right now. That morning commute is going to be a little bit challenging for many of us, especially getting across the bridges with those winds whipping up and strong rain pushing throughout our communities. I want to talk more about the timeline of this storm coming up in just a bit, but for now, back to you.
All right, let's take a live look at our camera in Sonoma Plaza, downtown Sonoma. We have seen the rain falling down here through the early morning hours.
Slick roads. Go slow. So for those of you getting your day started up in the North Bay, we are where you are. And Veronica Macias, she's right there. She is on those roads to let us know how things are shaping up north this morning. We're going to listen to her while we watch the news play out in real time, Veronica.
Good morning. As you can see, it's a little bit dark here. We definitely have stormy weather coming through the North Bay. At the moment, we're in San Anselmo, where there's a power outage being reported, and we're working to know more from the Marin Fire Department whether it was a cause of a tree falling on power lines. This neighborhood is directly behind the downtown area, which you could see pitch black, but up ahead we do see some lights. Things are very windy right now. At the moment, you know, when we were driving on the highway getting here, the news van being just pushed side to side by the wind. So if you're crossing any bridges this morning, my advice to you, keep both hands on the wheel, guys. Now, it feels like, you know, earlier over in San Rafael, we were being hammered by the rain. Already, I could tell you that the exits, we're seeing a lot of ponding on the road. We're in the downtown area here where you could see there is power. This is, you know, this area of the Bay getting, you know, very different from what people in the South Bay are seeing right now. So if you're heading out the door, give yourself plenty of time, and of course, stay up to date with us as we're checking in on things for you. It's going to be, you know, a little sloppy during this morning commute, guys.
Well, we see a lot of those leaves that got blown around overnight, and now they're just going to make even more slick conditions. And a reminder out there, if you're driving around the North Bay, You see the trash cans there on the right. It is trash day, I can co-sign and tell you, in the North Bay. And so you may see trash cans moved around a little bit later. We'll check in with you a little bit later in the broadcast. But, sort of scaffolding off of what Veronica talked about, she mentioned the bridge. So we're going to fire up this camera right now in the rain. This is the Bay Bridge. Looking live right now, we can tell you there's a wind advisory for the Bay Bridge. So just take it slow, especially if you're in one of those high-profile vehicles.
Yeah, and we are tracking power outages right now. Strong winds hitting the Bay Area. This is a look at the PG&E outage map. The spots in orange represent outages affecting more than 500 homes and businesses. PG&E tells us about 3,600 customers right now are without power, most in the North Bay and along the peninsula. We're going to keep you updated on any changes throughout the morning. Now to a live look out at San Francisco's Embarcadero. You can stay with us with updates throughout the morning on this First Alert Weather Day. You can catch us on air or anytime on the free CBS News app. Just choose live and then Bay Area, or head to our website, kpix.com.
Voters decide, and boy, did they. Here's your headline. The day after Election Day, a wave of blue in places like New Jersey, Virginia, New York City. Democrats dominating the first major election day since President Donald Trump returned to the White House. One of the biggest wins of the night, of course, goes to Governor Gavin Newsom, who helped lead the Democrat response to redistricting efforts in Texas. It's called Prop 50 where we live. We all know about it. It passed by voters. You greenlit the redraw of congressional maps in California to try to help Californians send more Democrats to Congress in time for the midterm elections. You can see the results right here behind me, 63.8%. Only 36.2% of voters said no to that redraw. Now, as to the congressional maps in California, we wanted to show you once again a before and after. You see what the existing map is before the election day, a lot more red. You see that proposed map that you greenlit. Well, now you see a lot more blue and a lot less red. Now, what does that mean? So this could give Democrats 5 more seats in the House with those midterms just a year away. Now, as we said, it's all in response to Texas Republicans trying to put more Republicans in Congress. Governor Gavin Newsom spoke in Sacramento last night with a call to action for leaders in other states. Listen.
We need the state of Virginia. We need the state of Maryland. We need our friends in New York, in Illinois, in Colorado. We need to see other states meet this moment head on as well to recognize what we're up against in 2026.
So California and Texas are not the only states in this redistricting battle. These are the various stages of map redraws in many states: California, Utah, Texas, Louisiana, and then sweeping over towards the East Coast. This is something you're going to hear a lot about as we approach those midterm elections. So a lot to consider here, Ann, but something that's interesting to me as we count down to those midterm elections. Gavin Newsom said to Robert Costa on CBS News he was not ruling out a run for president. He wanted to get over this hurdle, get more Democrats in Congress, and then he would announce. My anticipation is we should hear a lot about that because fundraising season starts very soon.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure we're going to be hearing that message loud and clear. Meantime, let's get you updated on some of the other major decisions that were on the ballot in parts of the Bay Area. In the South Bay, Measure A appears to be heading to a victory. That is in Santa Clara County. That would raise the county's sales tax through the next 5 years. Supporters say it was a counter to potential federal cuts that could impact hospitals and other health services. Voters in Fairfax voting no to a potential recall of their mayor, Liesl Blash. These are the numbers right now. Mayor Blash facing that recall push after she supported construction of a 6-story apartment complex in the town. People weren't so hot on that. The Fairfax vice mayor also facing a recall that also, though, appears to have been defeated. We're going to have more election coverage for you throughout the morning. For the latest results anytime, head to our website, kpix.com. You can also find it on the free CBS News app.
Well, moving you around the Bay Area for other headlines in your community, we start with a good morning to those of you waking up in the East Bay. Your headline is this: the driver accused of reversing that U-Haul truck towards federal officers on Coast Guard Island, Alameda, faces federal charges. Let's go back in time 2 weeks ago and listen to this gunfire here you're just about to hear. Our cameras were there when this moment played out. You can hear those security officers opening fire on that U-Haul as it backed up towards them after a day of protests near the gate to the base. Now, Federal prosecutors say the driver was 26-year-old Brendan Thompson, who goes by Bella. According to court documents, Thompson took a bullet to the back. No word this morning on Thompson's condition, but you do see those bullet holes in that U-Haul. They're now charged with assault with a deadly weapon on a federal officer. So if convicted, Thompson faces a maximum of 20 years in prison and fines. Moving on the map now to San Francisco, where a jury convicted a man in a brutal attack that left an elderly woman dead. Jurors found Keontae Gathron guilty of murdering 88-year-old Yikoi Wong. Gathron beat and robbed the woman at Visitation Valley Playground in January of 2019 and then broke into her home. Wong died from her injuries a year later. Prosecutors tied him to several other attacks on Asian Americans. Gathron faces life in prison.
All right, it is just about 11 minutes after 6 o'clock, and Democrats securing victories in key races across the country. We're going to have a political expert weighing in on what it means looking ahead to the midterms.
And it is a first alert weather day here in the Bay Area. We are gearing up for some severe storms just within the next couple hours, making that morning commute a little bit challenging. More on that coming up in just a bit.
First Alert Weather, brought to you by AAA Insurance. Get a quote today.
All right, if you're cozy at home, take a look at this. Live look at the roads this morning in Marin County might help you decide if you're going to get out there and seize the day. Wet conditions across parts of the Bay Area right now. The rain started falling earlier, and it's going to be sticking around throughout the morning. This is Marin County, San Anselmo. So roads are slick out there. If you're heading out, take it slow.
So big wins for Democrats across the country, and California Democrats this morning claiming arguably the biggest win. Voters approved California efforts to redraw congressional maps to give Democrats as many as 5 more seats in Congress for next year's midterms. Proposition 50, and we know this, was Governor Gavin Newsom's counterpunch to new Republicans in Texas and their maps to put Republicans in Congress in greater numbers. So let's talk about that and what it means for the future. CSU East Bay political history professor Dr. Nolan Higdon is live with us again this morning. So got to ask you first, this redraw here or elsewhere, it's not a guarantee that either Democrats or Republicans will get more seats. It just increases the odds, no? So what does history teach us?
Yeah, that's correct. We don't actually know how this will turn out. It's really going to be up to the voters to decide ultimately what the outcome of Prop 50 ends up being. Having said that, though, I think, Democrats were celebrating a lot last night because it'd been, a year to the day almost without something that they felt was a victory. So this was a really big deal, I think, for Democrats and California Democrats in particular.
Yeah, Democrats dominated in the election. It was supposed to be close, but in a lot of races, there were double-digit defeats. What message does this send to President Trump and his administration?
I was able to catch some of President Donald Trump's remarks this morning at a Senate breakfast, and he even noted that the shutdown played a critical role in the outcome of this election. I think the shutdown is part of a larger frustration people have with Washington, D.C. in general. And the fact that Republicans control Washington, D.C. means they're going to take the blame for it. And I think that's something they've been wrestling with for the last 30 plus days is, they wanted to make this about the Democrats, but without the Democrats holding office, a lot of voters are blaming this on Republicans.
And then, of course, we have to ask the big million-dollar question, and it's going to end up being a mega million-dollar question for fundraising. Governor Gavin Newsom, does this launch him and position him for a national run for president?
I think so. I mean, Governor Gavin Newsom has been running for quite some time, even if not officially. And I think last night in his speech after the outcome of the election, you really saw him try and be a leader of the party. He was calling on other states to join him. He was talking about building a national coalition. And he was really talking like someone who was already running for office and already leading the party. So I think that's a clear indication that he's got his eyes on 2028.
All right, Dr. Higdon, we appreciate you so much. Best to you and the students you teach. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Outside this Wednesday morning because it is a stormy one across the bay. This is a live look at the city of San Francisco, and people are running those windshield wipers there as we are around much of the coastal areas. Jessica Birch has been this storm on this first alert weather day.
And the storm is making it very challenging for commuters out there this morning to get out there on the roads and not deal with crazy rain or winds. Today, we can see winds forecasted up to around 45 miles per hour. At the same time, the storm continues to track off into the east. Into the afternoon hours we go. It'll start to taper off. We'll clear up a bit more, but the bulk of the storm happens in the early morning hours right now throughout the next 2 to 3 hours. So let's talk about some characteristics with this. It's going to bring in some more impressive rainfall totals to places like Napa and Sonoma, all the way over into Vallejo, close to around 1/4 of an inch there. Now we make our way over into the peninsula, closer to around 1/10 of an inch into San Francisco, down into Half Moon Bay. This is what we're gearing up for today, and it's also bringing in some cooler weather too. Yesterday we were in the 70s off into the East Bay, the Santa Clara Valley, and up into wine country. Today it's 60s widespread throughout the Bay Area. Let's talk about a few other things going on for us, because the National Weather Service has issued wind advisories widespread throughout the Bay. It makes sense, right? We're talking about wind speeds anywhere up to around 45 miles per hour, but for the most part, sustained winds all throughout the Bay are closer to around 20 to 25 miles per hour. And that's what we're seeing right now. I'm advancing the clock throughout the next couple hours. The winds will start to die down into the evening hours tonight. That wind advisory stays in effect until around 4 o'clock as we head into this afternoon. Let's talk about some other things going on for us, because as we head outside today and tomorrow, we're going to see some big changes throughout the next 24 hours. Starting off with a storm this morning, looking a lot different and a lot more clear just by tomorrow morning. So this rain system comes in fast. It's an atmospheric river, bringing in a chance of thunderstorms right now, anywhere from Santa Rosa over into San Francisco. We're continuing to keep a close eye on that. That continues to track off into the east throughout the next couple hours. Notice how just around 8:30 to 9 o'clock, we're really just seeing those light scattered showers pushing off into the Sacramento Valley, clearing up a lot more into the overnight hours tonight. And it's going to be a pretty impressive rainfall system when it comes to totals. But here's what we're gearing up for as we head into the next 7 days. A baby warm up as we head into this weekend, not by much. High pressure is going to try ridging its way in, warming us up a little bit more into the 70s as early as Saturday and Sunday. That's for the Bay, but we still hold on tight to those cool, cloudy skies each day as we dive into next week. You make your way over into our inland spots, well, it's a little bit different. We're not going to see 80s anytime soon. Of course, we're now in the month of November. It's a lot cooler for us as we head outside. It's definitely jacket weather, but at least we'll average out into the mid-70s heading into this weekend's forecast. Today is a first alert weather day, strong winds and rain. Be very careful out there on the roads. It's going to look a lot better into this afternoon. Back to you.
Yeah, speaking of the roadways, let's get a quick check on your traffic. Wet and windy, as just mentioned, so perfect mix for accidents. Take it slow out there if you're heading out. In Oakland right now, there is a tree that is blocking the center lane. It fell on 980 westbound, so do try to give crews plenty of space to work there. Heading over to 101 southbound. 2 crashes to watch out for right now. One toward the city on 3rd Street, blocking the right and left lanes, and another north of Lucas Valley Road that is affecting the left lane. So some delays through that area. Earlier this morning, there were no trains heading to the Warm Springs area. That was because of some sort of police activity, trying to figure out exactly what was going on there, but we know it was affecting the trains. Service is back up and running now, and about a 10-minute delay on the Berryessa line at the Bay Bridge. Slow and go traffic, which, you know, when you consider those strong winds and going on across the span and a wind advisory on the bridge, not bad that everybody is actually going at a slow pace. That is a look at your morning commute. Reed.
All right, time right now is 6:21. The NFL trade deadline is passed and no major moves for the Niners. Up next, meet the quarterback who got his first NFL snap on Sunday.
And let's take another live look outside before we take a quick break. There is that Bay Bridge where you have that wind advisory. So take her slow out there this morning. Better yet, work from home if you can. Chill. It's one of those days to be cozy if you have the opportunity. We'll be right back.
How about we talk some sports? Mac Jones has kept the 49ers afloat while Brock Purdy has had to sit it out due to an injury. Vern Glenn reports a third quarterback entered the game on Sunday for our Red and Gold.
This is the Audi Red and Gold Report.
You hear that? Nothing? Silence by the trade deadline. So, can the 49ers get it done with their current roster? We'll see in about 9 weeks. Meantime, backup quarterback Mac Jones has led the Red and Gold to 5 wins in Brock Purdy's absence. And this past weekend, the Niners saw a third quarterback enter a game.
What do you think about when the 15th round when you're coming out?
Third stringer Adrian Martinez played his first NFL snap, and he can thank Jones. The Niners were in victory formation in the win over the Giants, so that cleared the way for Jones to call in some relief.
Kyle already took his headset off, and I'm like, "Go on, Adrian." So I just subbed myself out, snuck to the sideline. Once we were taking a knee, I definitely wanted Adrian to be there, and he's just been awesome, to be honest. He's a good friend of mine.
With the Red and Gold Report, I'm Vern Glenn.
6:26 in the morning. Good morning, everybody. Still ahead, a big win for Governor Newsom as Prop 50 passes with strong support from voters. What's Prop 50? Well, it allows California to now redraw congressional maps to try to send as many as 5 more Democrats to Congress in time for the midterm. We've got a closer look at all election results as you wake up this morning. Now, let's go live to Veronica. Usually when we talk politics, we like to change the subject to talking about the weather, but maybe not in the North Bay, Veronica.
No, not because we've seen a lot of changes here in the North Bay right now. Rainy, very windy, making for one messy morning commute for you. We're tracking this stormy weather day for you. Stay with us.
And let's take a look from another vantage point outside as we head to break. This is the city of San Francisco. Plenty of ominous gray clouds out there this stormy Wednesday morning. We'll be right back.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
And we've got all the toys. Look at this. We're looking at the radar at our feet right now, showing you the next 24 hours where people live.
Yeah, rain and wind being felt across the Bay Area and already causing some problems. We've been talking about a few trees down. Let's go to Veronica Macias up in the North Bay right now. Veronica, you have been hitting the roadways. You seeing any trouble?
Oh, today is just the day where if you have the opportunity to work from home, I would definitely take it. We have the rain out here. It is so windy and it's just making for one messy commute. Right here, we're on the 101 in San Rafael. And, you know, I was trying to open the door a little earlier just to see how windy it was. The door blew right open. I even had trouble closing it. So this morning, my recommendation is, you know, if you're one who tends to check the cell phone as you're driving, just put it away. You want to be safe this morning, putting both hands on the wheel because it's just so windy. So keep an eye out. We have seen a couple of things, you know, thankfully just trash that was blowing across the highway. But you want to be extra careful this morning if you have to head in and give yourself plenty of time, you know, maybe take it slow this morning. Ann?
All right, sounds good. Be safe out there. I think your photographer, Brian Kiley, is doing the driving. So, yeah, good luck, guys. We see that those brake lights hitting as well. And, you know, that's a reminder as we move into the rainy season, you know, to leave extra room between you and the car in front of you. All this stuff seems obvious. But, you know, some of these first rains, it's like you see the other drivers on the road and it's like, do I trust you?
I know. You take a look at the past 3 years, and I was just thinking about this morning. The first 2 years I started working at KPIX, we had some of the most severe atmospheric river seasons, month after month, January, February, March. And then last year, which came to this year, it was really calm.
Yeah.
Things were relatively mild. What I'm starting to see now, especially in just some climatology forecasting, we're starting to see a good chance that we could see some heavier rain diving into this winter month or the winter months. And we're already noticing that right now. I mean, you take a look outside, this atmospheric river that's pushing through. It's actually just a series of showers that's continuing. Let's zoom out real fast. It's zooming all the way over into places like the Pacific Northwest, stretched all the way down into the Bay Area. And what we're seeing right now this morning is the tail end of this atmospheric river, a parade of storms that has really been impacting our friends up closer to Oregon and Washington for the past couple days. It's now in our neck of the woods, and it's bringing in close to around 1/4 of an inch of rain this morning alone in places like Napa and Vallejo, stretched all the way over into San Francisco, closer to around 1/10 of an inch there. We're seeing similar numbers the more south we go too. It's also bringing in some cooler weather. What you see below me is just the next 24 hours on loop. So this is where we're at this morning with some of those heavier showers pushing throughout our communities. Right now, it looks a lot more clear into this afternoon with daytime highs sitting in the 60s. Another thing to mention, well, the wind advisories that are still in effect right now issued by the National Weather Service. It is strong out there. We can see wind gusts today anywhere up to around 45 miles per hour. But as for the sustained winds, you're going to see this in a time lapse throughout the next 4 to 6 hours, we're actually seeing winds closer to around 15 to 20 miles per hour, but these are consistent. So it's breezy out there, it's cool and it's wet out there, and this is what it's looking like right now on our first alert Doppler. Some of those heavier thunderstorms pushed throughout places like Santa Rosa, stretched over into Napa earlier this morning. Now as we zoom in, we're seeing lighter showers in places like the Bay Bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, and stretched all the way up into wine country, Vallejo, over into Concord. I'll have more on this coming up in just a bit, but for now, back to you.
All right, stay with us all throughout the morning. We are your community station on this First Alert Weather Day. Catch us on air anytime on the free CBS News app. That's also a tool for you, or always streaming on the KPIX website, kpix.com.
And back to our election coverage. It was a big night for California's redistricting measure. Voters approving Prop 50 overwhelmingly, which will redraw the state's congressional maps ahead of next year's midterms. Big win for Governor Gavin Newsom, who led this effort as a response, of course, to Donald Trump and the redistricting efforts in Texas.
We stood tall and we stood firm in response to Donald Trump's recklessness. And tonight, after poking the bear, this bear roared.
Now, despite the overwhelming support for Prop 50, there were plenty of disappointed voters as well. You can see which counties voted for and against the proposition in the CBS News map. Or Lauren Tom spoke with people on both sides.
The passage of Prop 50 has sent a clear message to President Trump that Californians are not in line with his policies.
This is in direct response to what Trump did in Texas to gerrymander seats for Republicans. Really what we're trying to do here is make sure that we have a House of Representatives that is going to act as a check and balance on Trump's executive power.
Nancy Tung serves as the chair of the San Francisco Democratic Party. She says now that the measure is poised to pass, their focus will shift to the midterms.
This is really a point at which we have this momentum that we can take into 2026.
That's what Prop 50 is all about. Democrats' ability to take control of the House of Representatives in the 2026 midterms. But it's not a guarantee, as red-leaning states seek to redraw their own maps favoring Republicans. But it's Republicans here in California whose representation will shrink under the proposed maps. About 1 million registered Republicans reside in the 5 California districts that are now likely to shift blue, something local Republicans say strips them of their voice.
Which to me is not fair and which also is not a constitutional republic. And I don't believe that our forefathers set it up to work that way.
But nothing is guaranteed. Those 5 blue-leaning seats still must be chosen by voters next year in an election that could shift the balance of power in Washington.
Lauren, thanks for that. Now to the races on the East Coast and what many headlines are saying is a Democratic sweep that could signal a problem for Republicans going into next year's crucial midterms. One race a lot of people have their eyes on this morning is, of course, New York City. Voters there elected self-described Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamdani.
Tonight, we have stepped out from the old into the new. So let us speak now with clarity and conviction that cannot be misunderstood about what this new age will deliver and for whom.
CBS News' Jared Hill live in New York. Jared, President Trump is already saying that this will mean less federal money for New York. What's the feeling there in the Big Apple this morning?
Yeah, Reed, I mean, that's definitely one thing that has some folks here in New York City at least a little concerned, but overarchingly there is a bit of excitement, there's some curiosity, and there's wonder about what this win here in New York as well as in Virginia and New Jersey means for the Democratic Party as a whole. Is this going to be a part of the playbook going forward for Democrats, or is it going to be just potentially maybe some study guides as they look toward the midterms?
An election night sweep for Democrats. In New York City, Zoran Mamdani, a 34-year-old Democratic socialist, is set to become the Big Apple's first Muslim mayor.
Tonight, you have delivered a mandate for change.
Next door in New Jersey, voters propelled Democratic Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill to the governorship after a tight race.
The future is now. Roll up your sleeves, let your passion flow. The country we carry in our hearts is waiting.
History made in Virginia. Former Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is projected to become the Commonwealth's first woman governor.
Virginia chose pragmatism over partisanship.
On the other side of the country, California voters overwhelmingly appear to have approved Governor Gavin Newsom's Prop 50, a plan to temporarily redraw the state's congressional map to favor Democrats, a response to efforts by Republicans in Texas and other red states at the request of President Trump.
We need to see other states meet this moment head on as well, to recognize what we're up against in 2026.
CBS News exit polls show that the economy and President Trump played a big role in how folks cast their ballots yesterday. It's something that we heard from voters here in New York.
I think this vote, even though it's a local election, did have major impacts on how the two major parties have control across the country.
Overnight on social media, President Trump said pollsters blamed the GOP losses in part on the history-making government shutdown and posted this cryptic message. And so it begins.
Hi, that was Jared Hill reporting. And here in the Bay Area, these are some of the other races we've been following. Measure A, that was in Santa Clara County. That appears to have passed. That would increase the county sales tax by 5/8 of a cent for the next 5 years. That money meant to offset funding lost in federal cuts. And in the North Bay, voters in Fairfax voting no on a potential recall of Mayor Liesl Blash. These are the numbers right now. Mayor Blash faced that recall push after she supported construction of a 6-story apartment complex in the town. And the Fairfax vice mayor also faced a recall that also appears to have been defeated. We're going to have all the election coverage for you throughout the morning. We have the latest results anytime, all those numbers. Head to our website, kpix.com. You can also find it on the free CBS News app.
Well, good morning to you. It's 6:40. New plans for the iconic Macy's building in San Francisco. We'll look at what could be in store as you think about holiday shopping.
And we know it's a rainy one around the Bay Area. Taking another live look outside. That is view of the city from our camera on Treasure Island. You can see plenty of waves there in the bay as the ferries try to make their way across, getting people to where they need to go. Jess is going to have a closer look at your forecast after the break.
Moving around the Bay Area for headlines where you live, starting in San Francisco's Union Square. So here's your headline there. A local developer has been tapped to plan the future of Macy's West Coast flagship store. Plans are in the very early stages, but possibilities include some housing there, new retail space, even some entertainment to draw in crowds. Here's one of the people who are a part of charting a new day for the space.
At the end of the day, it's going to be a new feature for Union Square, which in and of itself is undergoing a lot of change. There are new tenants coming in, old tenants are leaving. There's a demand for housing, which I think people are talking about.
So no closing date just yet for Macy's. The store is going to continue to operate through the holiday shopping season and into the first quarter. How about we fire up our live cameras not far from there? The holiday season getting an early start in San Francisco today. Pier 39 rolling out a new attraction. There's our live camera there, a 60-foot white fur arriving just this morning, standing tall and proud, probably helped out by a crane because it's windy down there. This morning, you're going to see really the stage set at Pier 39 for what's going to be a lot of fun. Holiday decorations adorning the tree in the coming days. Goodness, we're already there looking at the holidays. Moving down to the South Bay, San Jose leaders listening to their communities by hitting pause on new smoke shops. So city leaders say some neighborhoods just already have too many of them. Councilmember Peter Ortiz says East San Jose, get this, has around 7 smoke shops per square mile. City Council approved a 45-day moratorium on business licenses for new tobacco shops. And
all right, time now for a look at what is coming up on CBS Mornings. Nate Burleson joining us live now from New York. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, and it's so good to see you. Here's what's coming up on CBS Mornings. We actually have a big show. And speaking of big, a big election for Democrats last night. We will break down the results and what they could mean for the upcoming midterms and President Trump. Also, imagine being able to have your pet forever. We'll explain the expensive new trend of pet cloning. You heard me right. And we're going to talk about the celebs that have done it already. Plus, two-time Oscar nominee Coleman Domingo joins us. He's one of the stars in the new thriller, The Running Man. I got a sneak peek of the movie. It's based on a Stephen King novel, and it is good. Also, country star Kenny Chesney is in studio to talk about his new memoir, Heart, Life, Music. And Zanaya Monet is currently on the Billboard chart. Hot new artist, but believe it or not, she's an AI creation. That's right. Gail has an exclusive interview with the face and voice behind the history-making AI singing sensation. We'll also have everything you need to know and, of course, more on the show. So we'll see you at 7.
Well, from AI to cloning, a lot going on there. Nate Burleson, thank you.
Love that flower tie, Nate Burleson. Watching live video from our many monitors bringing us headlines from all across the globe. What a tragedy. A UPS cargo plane crashed in Louisville, Kentucky last night. 7 are dead, 11 injured. Now, a heads up, the video we're about to show you may be disturbing. That's the moment that plane went down and exploded just after takeoff. It tore through roads and buildings near Muhammad Ali International Airport. This morning, it's all about the investigation into why that plane went down and the focus on who lost their lives. We anticipate finding out much more throughout the day, so stay with CBS News 24/7 for the very latest. The government shutdown is now the longest in U.S. history. It has now beat the prior record held by President Trump's previous shutdown in 2019. However, we can tell you there is some hope this morning for a bipartisan solution. Finally, lawmakers from both parties have hinted that the outlines of a deal to end the stalemate, they are on the table possibly as early as this week. In fact, happening right now, Senate Republicans are at the White House for a breakfast meeting with President Donald Trump. You know, in recent days, Mr. Trump has pushed his Republican colleagues to abolish something called the filibuster rule, which essentially requires a 60-vote majority to pass legislation. If they break that filibuster rule or get rid of it, Republicans can go ahead and push their own legislation through however they want. But even Republicans say, hey, if more Democrats end up in Congress, getting rid of the filibuster rule is a very bad idea. So as the shutdown continues, so does chaos for millions of air travelers. Here's what's up. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warns of major flight delays and disruptions just days away. Think about this. You're planning your holiday rush. That's closing in soon, which could mean millions of us could face some pretty severe travel headaches if the government doesn't reopen soon. Listen.
You will see mass chaos. You will see mass flight delays. You'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just cannot manage it because we don't have the air traffic controllers.
$13. So air traffic controllers got a partial paycheck at the start of the shutdown, but they missed their full pay last week. A lot of people are calling out sick. The union president warns many simply can't afford to live without that second paycheck.
Ooh, I'm holding off on buying airline tickets in the near future, that's for sure. All right, taking a live look from the air to the roads, the drive in the North Bay. It's been a little harrowing out there. This is just past San Rafael right now. Live driving shot. Traffic moving, but wet roadways. Jessica has predicted this, and it looks like, oh, well, this is going to be for the next several hours.
Yeah, some of the worst rain we're seeing right now on that active radar is happening currently in our neck of the woods. We're talking about heavy showers and thunderstorms here in the Bay Area as we wake up and head out the door. I'm turning it on right now, but those continue to track off into the east throughout the afternoon hours today, clearing up into the overnight hours tonight. We're back to normal conditions tomorrow, but this storm system is going to pack a punch when it comes to some of these heavier rainfall totals, up to around 1/4 of an inch expected in places like Vallejo and Napa, closer to around 1/10 of an inch into Novato, past the Golden Gate Bridge into San Francisco. And we're seeing even impressive numbers for our friends down into the foothills near Los Gatos, close to around 1/4 of an inch of rain there. Now, as you take a look at daytime highs, the system also impacts us when it comes to these cooler temperatures. Yesterday, we were in the 70s. Today, we're in the 60s, stretched all the way up into wine country, too. It's a cool setup for us today there. Another thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn this yellow color on below us. What this is, what you see below me, is a wind advisory issued by the National Weather Service for all the highlighted zones and counties on this map, which includes the whole Bay Area. So what's happening right now is we're seeing some of the strongest winds we've seen Here with the storm system right now and throughout the next couple hours, we're seeing similar conditions. 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts. We can see it up to around 45 miles per hour at times just along our coastal communities. That'll start to die down into the evening hours tonight as the National Weather Service expires that wind advisory around 4 o'clock. So the first low Doppler, very active this morning. We saw some of those more severe storms sweep throughout places like Mill Valley up into Santa Rosa just within this past hour. Now we're seeing lingering lighter rain in the forecast, and that'll be the case throughout the next couple hours. Futurecast showing that pretty perfectly. From Santa Cruz down into Monterey, we're holding on tight to some more active showers into that 9 o'clock hour, clearing up a bit more into the 3 o'clock hour this afternoon. It's going to look pretty nice as we head into the overnight hours tonight once that system pushes over into the Sacramento Valley and then eventually up into the Tahoe region. Now, the Sierra Tahoe region could see anywhere up to around 4 to 12 inches of snow. So for all of our skiers and snowboarders, yeah, this is the season where we're starting to see some of those showers here in the Bay Area really influence the whole state of California. We're expecting 60s and 70s on tap for us diving into this weekend all throughout the Bay. Cloudy skies holding on tight to us each day. Back to you.
All right, let's get a check on your traffic. If you are heading out, we have a lot of red on our maps this morning, unfortunately. In the Dublin area, there's a crash right now at the entry ramp from 580 eastbound that is blocking the lane to 680 northbound. On the other side, another crash is blocking the Doherty Road exit from 580 eastbound, so some slow and go in that area. On 80 eastbound, right-hand shoulder is blocked just before the Central Avenue exit, and a little further down on 580 westbound, right shoulder is also blocked before the Regatta Boulevard exit. Now, the Bay Bridge, that wind advisory is still in effect, and traffic is crawling along on those wet roadways as you head into the city. That's a look at your morning commute.
And at 6:52 in the morning, libraries typically known as quiet spaces, right? Well, a Bay Area library now defying the norms by letting you be as loud as you want. No more shushing. We're going to take you to Morgan Hill to check out that place coming up.
Just about 4 minutes before 7 o'clock, time for your Money Watch report, starting with a live look at the big board this morning. The Dow is up about 160 points. Apparently, weight loss drugs could soon be a lot cheaper thanks to a new push to make them more affordable. Sources say the Trump administration is close to finalizing deals with the companies Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to slash prices, bringing some drugs down to about $149 a month. The plan could also allow Medicare to cover them for some patients. An official announcement could come as early as tomorrow. And Chrysler recalling more than 320,000 Jeeps because apparently their high-voltage batteries could cause a fire. So this recall affects 4 XE Jeep Wranglers and Grand Cherokee. So if you have one, National Highway Transportation Safety Administration says park them outside, not in your garage. Don't let it catch fire and have that spread to your house. They say don't even charge them right now until they are repaired. Chrysler says a fix is going to be available sometime soon.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
So how's this for a story? Some libraries where we live now say that shushing can't happen anymore. They're changing rules.
As Itai Had reports, it's a story that is anything but by the book.
You know the sound, that unmistakable, that echoed through libraries for generations. But here at the Morgan Hill branch, they decided to give shushing the silent treatment. For 4-year-old Luna and her little brother Jude, that means the most exciting story in the library isn't bound in hardback. It's at the bottom of a slide. Their nanny, Tiffany Negron, says this is the first library where the only thing hushed is her stress.
They could be as loud as they want, and we get smiles instead of being shushed.
Once upon a time, silence was golden in libraries. Now noise is part of the plot.
Do you want me to hold your hand?
The real page turner is a new play space with board games.
You can try looking for the animals.
Scavenger hunts.
Look inside.
Even a mini observatory complete with telescopes and stars.
Nice.
And Morgan Hill isn't alone. Libraries across the country are checking out the same idea. That community grows louder when you let people talk. Is it even a library if you don't get shushed?
Oh, absolutely.
Jennifer Weeks is the Santa Clara County librarian. She says libraries have always adapted And this is just the latest chapter in trying to keep up with the times.
You don't learn how to be a good reader by sitting still.
A 2020 study found that installing play and learn spaces in Philadelphia libraries boosted attendance at children's programs by nearly 190%. In Morgan Hill, attendance has seen a 20% jump in just the last 4 months.
Which one's that one?
For Luna and Jude, it's been a game changer. They've gone from reading about 10 books a week to nearly 30. Because around here, the only thing being shelved is the old idea of what a library should be.
I love it. I get shushed a lot.
Do you?
I have a loud voice.
You have a perfect voice.
Ask anybody in my apartment complex.
No, it's good. I just want to shush people who are on their cell phones in the grocery store or the restaurant on speaker.
People. I know. Yeah.
It's my daily gripe. All right, let's look ahead. Elections.
Democrats scoring some big victories in key races across the country. We are live with CSU East Bay professor Dr. Nolan Higdon with more on what this means for the Democratic Party.
Well, let's go live outside right now. This is the view from the top of the mark, helping us to see that really thick, soupy layer of clouds. Much more on weather and how to plan your day. Pix Plus 44, cable channel 12.